summer, the Penguins turned their coaching reins over to Scotty Bowman. In Boston, a change was made. Rick Bowness was behind the bench. An improbable run for these two teams. Boston advanced to the Wales Conference Championship with a tough 7-game series against Buffalo and an improbable Canadians. The Bruins were ready for yet another challenge. The defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins, they came back from 3-1 to defeat the Capitals in round 1. Then they took on the team with the best regular season record, the New York Rangers, and the Penguins prevailed in 6 games. So the scene is set for the Wales Conference Championship. It's game number 1. The defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins against the Boston Bruins tonight on Sports. Good evening and welcome to Game 1 of the Wales Conference Championship tonight on Sports Channel America. I'm Bob Pop in our New York studios. The defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins square off against the Boston Bruins in a rematch of last year. This has the makings of a very interesting series as far as how these two teams shape up. Should be interesting to see how both teams handle their injury problems. Also, throughout the course of the evening, we'll take a closer look at the Pittsburgh Penguins' Sean McEachern, and we'll take a look back at last night's game between Chicago and the Edmonton Oilers. Let's take a look at how this series shapes up. The Wales final, it is the 4th playoff meeting between the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Boston leads it 2-1. Last year, of course, Pittsburgh won it in 6 games, very even during the regular season. Each team won a game, and there was a tie as well. Well, we have a full complement of action for you this evening from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Jiggs McDonald and Bill Clement with the call, and also joining us, Mike Emmerich. And Mike, the question is concerning tonight's game. It's a repeat of last year, but a lot of different faces. Do you expect a similar series?
I expect a similar hard-fought series. These are two teams, Bob, who have come here on the crest of incredible emotion. They both pulled off upsets. Pittsburgh upset their division leader. Boston did the same thing. The Rangers in Montreal have fallen now. And you'd think, too, Bob, that fans might get a little blasé in a city where they've already won a championship just a year ago. Boy, it hasn't happened here. You're going to hear a lot of cheering tonight by these local Pittsburgh fans when their team comes out. If you're picking Boston in this series, you're counting on a team that got its chemistry very late in the regular season. They peaked at the right time, and they carried it right through 2 playoff rounds. If you're picking Pittsburgh, you're looking at talent on paper and talent that's produced one of the most impressive offenses that we've seen in the modern history of the game here, too. And both teams have had sensational goaltending. Bob, in addition to you back at the studio, we have personnel, we have cameras, we have microphones all over this Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, down the runway, and tucked back in our studio, well away from the ice and away from all of the noise that's eventually going to come from the crowd. It's an 11-year NHL player, 2-time Stanley Cup champ, 7th year of analysis, Bill
Mike,
Clement.
as you know, both of these teams made it to the conference finals with their superstars not on the ice, but sitting in rooms probably a lot like this one, watching the games on TV monitors. We wanted to bring everybody up to speed on both situations. The Mario Lemieux story is pretty clear. He will not play tonight. He has a cast on his left hand and is expected to play in Game 5. I suspect we may see him by Game 3. Ray Bourque of the Boston Bruins, a little more dramatic situation. As of noon today, there was a chance he would play tonight, but I ran into his coach, Rick Bowness, moments ago, and he said he has just been fitted with a new cast on his right hand. He will not play tonight. He will definitely be back Tuesday night. I also asked Rick Bowness what the #1 team asset was of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Team asset. He had a quick answer, 2 words long. He said, Jaromir Jagr. He's the man the Bruins are going to have to stop.
Our play-by-play location here at Civic Arena, known as the Big Igloo, is way up high at the roof, a long ways back from the ice. And a guy who has made that trek so often here in his 25 years of NHL broadcasting, and did so specifically in the last series between the Penguins and Rangers, Jiggs McDonald is standing by. Jiggs.
Mike, I look forward to the goaltending matchup in this series as one of the big keys. From the Boston Bruins, the ability of Andy Moog, and agility too, I should say. In the series against Montreal, he allowed only 8 goals in the Bruins sweep. he has that wonderful left hand, that catching hand, which is certainly one of his strengths. He's the smaller of the two. Tom Barrasso of the Pittsburgh Penguins, on the other hand, catches with the right hand, and that's regarded as his strength. In the series against the New York Rangers, especially the last two games, he was brilliant, in my opinion. Prior to that, he had a tendency to lose his concentration, was down on the ice a little too much for my liking. But in this series, as I said, this is the key. Whichever one of these two goaltenders is the best will win it for his team. Mike?
Work missing. Don't forget that Cam Neely, three-time All-Star right wing, is missing from the Boston lineup, as well as Ray Bourque. Neely is out for the year after knee surgery. This year we have a change from last year in addition, because we have different coaches. For Boston, Mike Milbury is now assistant general manager. The coach is Rick Bowness. Bob Johnson, an untimely death because of cancer. For Pittsburgh, the coach is Scotty Bowman. We asked Bowman and Bowness to assess each other.
Well, I have a lot of respect for Scotty Bowman. I have a lot of respect for any coach that has won the Stanley Cup. That's certainly the number of cups that he has won and the tremendous success he's had. I'm very respectful of that, but nor am I intimidated by it.
Well, I don't think there's an advantage. The first time you get in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's also exciting. You don't really think of, if I was in his shoes, you don't think about the other coach. I never think really about the opposition's coach. I have a lot of respect for Rick Bowness because I know what he went through down the stretch run. There was a lot of conversation, but finally a coach was rewarded with some new players, and the team responded.
16,164 fans, including Elvis. A sellout for the 23rd straight time here at Civic Arena. The anthems and the opening face-off coming up in just a moment.
This crowd of 16,000 plus at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh has been standing and cheering the hometown Pittsburgh Penguins. Now the teams lined up at their blue lines at our national anthem.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. What day does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free
The young lady's name, Christina Aguilera, honoring America with the Star-Spangled Banner. And this crowd continues to cheer as we get set for Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins. Andy Van Hellemond will referee tonight's game. Wayne Bonney and Gerard Gauthier to work the lines. The off-ice officials are from Philadelphia, and the supervisor for this series is Wally Harris. Andy Van Hellemond working his 10th game, and Andy Moog in the nets tonight for the Bruins. This is 101st Stanley Cup playoff game, and on this 1992 series, 8 wins, 3 losses, and a 2.72 goals against.
You know, last year Tom Barrasso wanted to prove something. He wanted to prove he's a money goalie. He did it last year. He's doing it again this year.
And the opening face-off brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. And the Bruins to the attack early, and immediately a penalty to be signaled here by referee Van Hellemond. 14 seconds into the game, a charging penalty signaled. The Pittsburgh Penguins didn't have very many penalties called against them in the series with the Rangers, and immediately Rick Tocchet goes to the gate here.
Well, it sure is a sign of a couple of things, Jake. First of all, Rick Tocchet is healthy. He told me today he's only 95% healthy. He had to come back in the last series from a shoulder injury. So that's one thing that it shows. Rick Tocchet is healthy enough to hit, but the other thing is he had a little bit of an adrenaline overload here early in the game. first shift, first hit, and he really wanted to take the Bruins apart, so he got a real good lick in, but he got his hands up a little high. Even with that hit, I'm surprised it was called. Andy Van Hellemond has a reputation for letting guys play, especially early in hockey games. Maybe that's not going to be the case tonight. Tocchet is off, and we see the Bruins power play.
Maybe he, too, has the adrenaline overload. But the Bruins on the power play, good on 10 of 45 chances in the first 2 rounds. They set one up here, leading it to the right point. Cross ice, and immediately trying to find Juneau. He goes to the other direction. The shot into the goal mouth is turned aside and comes all the way back to the right blue line. Ted Donato. Juneau. Another delayed penalty call coming. It'll be against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Boston ready to go to a 5-on-3. Now they give the puck away to Bourque. And a cross-checking penalty against Larry Murphy.
Well, this is incredible. Really it is. And you can't imagine what a great advantage now has been handed to the Boston Bruins so early in this series. Game 1's always important. If you get off on the right foot, naturally you stand a good chance to carry on throughout the game. And now Larry Murphy has taken a cross-checking penalty. So he joins Rick Tocchet only 29 seconds after Tocchet went in for his charge. You know what? That's not a typical Larry Murphy penalty.
Nor a Pittsburgh team that was so disciplined.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. So a 5-on-3 for Boston for the next minute and 31 seconds, barring any further penalties.
I know what Rick Bowness is saying right now. I wish I had Ray Bourque. Ray Bourque is a 92nd guy on the Bruins power play. That's 3/4 of the power play. He doesn't have it, but in a 5-on-3, he should have enough.
He has Wesley and Donato at the points. This is Glenn Wesley to Donato. Donato at the top of the circle, fed Wesley, then got it right back. In a little deeper with the feed. Adam Oates quarterbacking this power play, and the shot on is turned aside by Barrasso, but the Bruins will hold it in. This is Ruzicka. Rosie Ruzicka gets it right back, shoots, missed the net. Comes back toward Wesley covering the point. Francis is the lone forward, the 2 Samuelsons on defense for Pittsburgh. Donato a drive, didn't get it on target. Now a shot from the far side by Oates is denied. Donato sets up at the left point. Looks toward Wesley. In deeper to Oates. Adam Oates for the Bruins to Ruzicka. Barrasso the save and the rebound hit the outside of the net. Now it's loose and shot wide by Juneau. Old Samuelson moves it up the boards, but not out. Here's Wesley at the point. A drive misses the net. Ruzicka tees it up in the corner with 35 seconds in the 2-man advantage. This is Oates. Looks to Juneau at the side of the net. To Ruzicka in front. Back to Wesley. Played it behind. Donato is able to recover. Ed Donato into Adam Oates. To Ruzicka in the slot. Back to Oates. It slid right across the goal mouth, and the Bruins handle it again. Juneau to Wesley to Juneau. Juneau cross ice pass, and Donato works it into Oates. Back to Donato, and a diving block by Francis, but it's held at the line.
What a save.
Great play. Here is Wesley to Donato. Donato a drive, rippled the twine outside the goal mouth, and it's centered back. One Pittsburgh player is back. That is Tocchet, the centering pass, picked off. Francis shoots it down the ice.
Well, incredible penalty killing by the Penguins, but the Bruins didn't see what they were doing. They had a triangle set up. It was a triangle with 1 man high and 2 men low. The Bruins still tried to attack low, where both guys were standing at either side of the net.
Now the final 5 seconds of the Boston power play, Bill. 3 shots on goal is what they've managed. And the teams are at full and equal strength. What a big, tremendous kill for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And a nice ovation from this capacity crowd as well.
You know, I'm not sure that Barrasso even made 1 save in that sequence.
Back to pack. Long shot just wide of Andy Moog. And the Bruins move it through center ice. There was a big hit there and a takedown, but it was allowed to go unnoticed.
It seemed as if a lot of the Bruins shots just rippled the outside of the net. Some of them squeezed between Barrasso and the post, went through the goal mouth, but when the Bruins had good chances, a couple of times they just shot wide.
And now the Pittsburgh Penguins break out 2-on-1. Brian Trottier down right wing. Troy Loney goes to the net. Trottier scores!
This is a game of emotion. It is a game of momentum, and momentum changes. After killing the 5-on-3, here come the Penguins.
I think Brian Trottier fooled the whole world, including me, including Andy Moog. It looked when he pulled it back right here that he was going to pass it over to Troy Loney. Didn't even look for Loney. Zeroed in on an open spot to the stick side of Andy Moog. Zinged it home, and the man that's looking for Stanley Cup number 6. Trottier already has 5. He's looking for 6 this year. Gives the Penguins a 1-0 lead.
He may have fooled a lot of people, but not those Trottier fans who have watched him year after year, especially back with the New York Islanders. His third goal in the spring of '92, and a 1-0 Pittsburgh lead at the 3:26 mark of the opening period, and here comes Yager. Yager trying to get around the defense. Now help from Murphy, but the puck is tipped over the glass and on up into the seats. So 3:26 into the opening period, Pittsburgh has a 1-0 lead.
We're going to pick up the goal with Tom Barrasso moving it up the boards. Now the Bruins pinch in here, and they get caught pinching in. Barrasso moves it well to that side. If we stop it right here, you'll see the Boston defense pinching in right away. 2 Penguins skip right by him. Loney is one, Trottier is the other one, and here they go in a 2-on-1. Dave Poulin at the bottom of your screen is trying to catch up to Troy Loney. He decides to let him go. Here is Loney. This is the seam that Trottier can pass through. He decides not to. And a real good decision. Almost at the top of the circle. That tells you how good Brian Trottier's wrist shot is. He beat Andy Moog cleanly.
Only 3 players in the history of this sport, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Yari Curry, have scored more Stanley Cup points than Brian Trottier. That was his 192nd. And there is a chance right there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Bruins start out of the zone. Ruzicka through center ice and across the line, drops it back, and the shot never did arrive as Dave Reed had trouble handling it. Bruins keep it in the zone. Here's Steve Leach off the right side. Can't drive through. Reed got a shot. So did Ruzicka, and the puck is hand passed ahead by Phil Bourque. Up to Sean McEachran. McEachran driving on the defense. Got knocked off his skates. Rick Tockett's centering attempt is picked off. And Steve Leach moves it to Wesley, and the Bruins come to center. Wesley, a long shot. Turned aside by Barrasso. Murphy rounds the net. The Bruins going for a player change. Gord Roberts on the transition moved it to right wing to McEachran, and he dumps it in. Oh, playing it back in the net. 4.5 minutes gone in the opening period. Pittsburgh with a 1-0 lead, and they have control of the puck again in the center ice zone. Kevin Stevens. Now they feed Francis to the backhand. Can't make the play. Francis got pulled back a little bit, and there'll be a penalty here against the Boston Bruins, a hooking penalty. This will set up the first power play of the evening for the Penguins, who have a 1-0 lead.
The Pittsburgh Penguins have the top power play in this year's playoff run. And thanks to rookie Glenn Murray, who hooked Ron Francis on the play. We're going to get a look at it. We'll show you the penalty first. There is Murray reaching out. Ron Francis had a real good crack at a backhand shot. You could see that when he was hooked, he decided that he couldn't actually get the backhand away and tried for a pass. But Murray is off for hooking, so we'll see Pittsburgh's power play. We'll see the Sharp Fins.
Yeah, they're not all in San Jose, are they? Or at the Cow Palace. This was one of the big trends in Pittsburgh a year ago on their march to the Stanley Cup. Yager is on the right. Stevens on the left with Francis in the middle. Phil Bourque covering the left point. Larry Murphy on the right point. That's the setup on the Pittsburgh power play. Dave Reed and Dave Poulin are out as the penalty-killing forwards for Boston. Wesley and Gord Murphy, their defense pairings. That's Yager playing the puck around Gord Murphy, who made a nice recover and has dumped it down the ice.
It's a hard thing to do against Gord Murphy, whether he's at the offensive blue line or the defensive blue line. When he's standing still, he can pick the puck out of midair with his stick better than anybody I've ever seen.
Here is Yager trying to drive through, and look at the way the Bruins surround him, and they're able to clear the puck. First man back, Phil Bourque. One of several Boston area players playing for Pittsburgh. Gave it to Murphy. Cross-ice pass picked off. Bob Sweeney up the right side, and he scores! Short-handed goal for Bob Sweeney.
Boy, a couple of interesting situations on this goal. He was just stationary at the offensive blue line, but it was one of those, how many times we talked about the long diagonal pass? There it is. From one face-off dot, headed out diagonally the other way. Now watch Sweeney. He winds up for the shot, and you know what? He actually, I thought, took his option of getting a shot away from himself by winding up. But I think the distraction of Larry Murphy's stick and the deflection handcuffed Tom Barrasso because it looked like a knuckleball by the time it got to him. So it worked. It wasn't the best shot selection to take with the slap shot, but it sure worked because Larry Murphy deflected it.
Penguins now have given up 3 shorthanded goals in the playoffs. That's the first scored by the Bruins. In fact, Bob Sweeney's first goal in 92 playoff action. Former teammates. Back in the high school era, Russell and Bob Sweeney. Still 55 seconds remaining in this Pittsburgh power play. Murphy with a pass to Stevens. Goes to the left side. It bounces off Tocchet, but the play is also offside at the Boston line.
Just like baseball, those often leave the playing surface.
And you would think that Tom Barrasso is pretty well aware of Bob Sweeney's arsenal. They were high school teammates in Acton, Boxborough, Mass.
Please remain at the top.
Up in the box tonight, the owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins on the left-hand side of your picture, and in the middle, wearing the glasses, is this man's hero. That was Mario Lemieux, and you're looking at a kid who has a lot of the same moves. The Armor Yager.
You see that move on two players? Some of the Penguins players this morning told me that Yager is better and would prefer to go down 1-on-2 instead of 1-on-1. He's better when there are two guys back.
Well, right now, how many more years will he play before he decides, no, I don't want to do it that way?
Well, as long as it works, he will probably play as many as his career allows him to play.
Once they start to catch him and bang him a little more.
Well, that's what everybody said about Gretzky and about Lemieux and about the great ones. Wait till people start catching them, but you don't catch players like that. You just don't.
Offside against the Pittsburgh Penguins as they moved into the Boston zone. How important will this man be during the series?
He has to be huge, not only in a contribution sense, but physically. It will be interesting to see how the Bruins pair up with their defensemen against the big Pittsburgh forwards. Stevens, Tocchet, Yager, Phil Bourque. Ron Francis is a big guy. I mean, when Kevin Stevens puts his mind to it, I don't think anybody can stop him from getting from point A to point B.
He is on the left side with Francis in the middle and Tocchet on the right. Still 23 seconds in this Pittsburgh power play. Rick Tocchet, 92, has put it back in the net. Moog out to play it. Got jostled around a little bit. Evan Stevens bumping him. Francis gives the puck to Stevens. He's knocked off it. Pack comes in off the left point. The pass too hot to handle. Now Tocchet centers. Francis can't get it away. Second chance. Moog the save. A scramble, and Andy Moog is able to cover the puck.
Boy, when you make penalty killers turn around quickly, they have to read something so fast that you can sneak in behind them, and it really puts them at a disadvantage. That puck moved from out front to behind. Now, as soon as it moved behind, the penalty killers had to turn around. That let Ron Francis just slip into a little hole in the slot. Tocchet dumped it out to him. And Andy Moog, through a screen, was able to make a save. Moog's vision is outstanding. His number one asset, Jigs, as you mentioned in our open, is his glove. If he's vulnerable in one area, it's up high under the crossbar because he is not big. He's 5'8", 170 pounds. He tucks back in there quite often. And even on the Brian Trottier goal, he was tucked back in. On that play, he has to hope as a defenseman and really bet on the defenseman playing the pass so he can come out and challenge. He didn't even do it against Trottier.
Now the Bruins are at full strength again after killing off the penalty. Boston in the black uniforms, clearing the puck just outside the line, and down the left side with it is Adam Oates. Cuts into the slot, dropped it back. Don Sweeney can't move through the Pittsburgh defense, and Yager recovers at center. Two-man back, he drives to the right side. Yager fed it to Loney, and the drive from Hrdina went wide of the net. Don Sweeney moves it up the left side. The Bruins into the center ice zone, but Hrdina reaches in to take it away from Adam Oates. Hrdina can't get through the defense at center. Yager moves it back for Paul Stanton. Into the skates of Wolf Samuelson. Down to Troy Loney. Up the boards. Yager after it. Can't get it inside the Boston zone. Adam Oates throwing it inside the Pittsburgh territory, and it's shot down the ice. And icing is waved off. Both teams in the middle of changes. We have just over 12 minutes to play in the opening period of Pittsburgh. The score tied 1-1. Ward Murphy shoots it in. It's something the Bruins have said they want to do in this series. The dump-ins must go in deep, and then they have to forecheck like the Dickens and regain control of the puck. They're forced back into the center ice area on this play. Steve Leach dumps it in, and again it's deep. Taken here by Roberts. Sidesteps a hit from Bob Carpenter, and up come the Pittsburgh Penguins. Larry Murphy gets across the line. Murphy with McEachran, and now Phil Bourque moving in as well. The Bruins come up with the puck. Big hit from Phil Bourque, frees it up. Chuck Callender gets tied up. The puck throws it on the boards, and there is no further play. The score is tied 1-1 as we pause now for a regional break.
This This is the kick plate, that yellow strip of board that goes around the bottom of the ice surface. Andy Moog was really intrigued by it this morning. And you take a look at these cracks right here along the boards. That's what he was looking for. And he was running the blade of his stick toe first along the boards. And he said, here in Pittsburgh, the water gets behind that yellow plate and freezes and pushes it out. And actually what happens is there are uneven seams. And he wanted to find out where they are. There's the Pittsburgh door. And he said there's an uneven seam right there. And it's very dangerous because if they're hard around, a dump-in comes on that side, he can kick off the door and go right into the net. So Andy Moog's first chore today was a little bit of kick plate research here at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and he did find some flaws. So he's cautious anyway, Jigs, about coming out of the net. He's not a guy that likes to handle the puck, and he admits that he stays in the net a lot more than other goalies because he doesn't handle well. But after finding that one flaw in that door, and he is at that end for 2 periods, he won't be out very much at that end.
No, you're always looking for the little edge. Or in this case, edges along the boards or the kick plate, as you pointed out.
And the reason the water gets in behind that is the ice surface was once bigger than this in Pittsburgh, and the ice is still down there. If you stand behind that door, you're still standing on ice, so the water seems to seep in behind that yellow kick plate.
Years ago, when this building was first erected, Symphony, that's one of the reasons that the roof will open. The Symphony Under the Stars, figure skating as well. The ice surface, as you pointed out, is bigger than the 200 by 85 that is standard in the National Hockey League. Standard and routine call for icing the puck here with 11 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the opening period. The Penguins and the Bruins are tied a goal apiece. Another gorgeous day in beautiful Pittsburgh. Temperature the low 80s. Expected to cool off a little bit tomorrow as you look at the skyline of downtown Pittsburgh, PA.
Playoff weather.
Yep. Can't beat it, can you?
Can't even tie it. There are no ties in the playoffs.
Thank goodness. We're tied right now at a goal apiece. Face off in the Pittsburgh zone. Dave Poulin for the Bruins against Ron Francis of the Penguins. Gerard Gauthier puts the puck in the play. The Bruins got it back to the left point. That was Wesley. Back in the net, Shell Samuelson knocks it away from Lazaro. Pack and Poulin go to the boards together. Francis reaching in, turns it the other direction. And the Bruins are forced out of the zone. Kevin Stevens leaning into Matt Hervey. Hervey, who just turned 25 yesterday, goes back looking for Stevens and then decides to leave him alone.
Gosh, Jigs, the Bruins this season not only resurrected careers with guys like Brent Hughes and Scott Arneal and Brent Ashton, but they accelerated careers. Some of the young kids. Donato and Joe Juneau. Bob Sweeney, the guy you're looking at, number 20, is simply a guy that's been there, tried and true for many years in Boston. But other players had their careers resurrected by the Bruins, and other players had their careers accelerated by the Bruins.
Bruins coaching staff were raving about Bob Sweeney. Even though he didn't have a point in the series against the Montreal Canadiens, he was outstanding at everything that they asked of him. And you just saw him banging the boards, hitting a piece. Ron Francis. Jim Pack frees up the puck. Kevin Stevens had a man in his face, and here's Dave Poulin with it. Poulin drops it for Bob Sweeney. Back to Poulin to the blue line. A long shot by Wesley went wide of the net. Now Jim Weimer holds it in. Weimer trying to center from the corner, got bumped. Poulin pinches in, puts the puck in front of that Pittsburgh goal, and the Penguins are able to clear it. Quickly, Pack moves it up. It's his pocket across the line with Kevin Stevens. Can't get it to Stevens. He's able to recover at the line, but now the Bruins take over again. Polin's pass blocked by Tocchet. It's going to be called back on an offside. Tocchet making contact with it up in the air, and that imaginary line running perpendicular with the blue line.
I mentioned earlier that Rick Tocchet said today he is 95% healthy. The only thing that 5% doesn't allow him to do is take the full windup in a slap shot, because, and I was kidding about it, when he winds up, he's got to wind up just like John Daly, the golfer. I mean, he comes all the way around the top. Boy, one of the big defensive influences in this series for the Pittsburgh Penguins will definitely come from Shell Samuelson, along with Ulf Samuelson. A lot of people think that the Bruins have an easier time against the opposition in Boston Garden. I'm anxious to see the Penguins play there. Ron Francis is not a great skater. I think the building will help him. Shell Samuelson's wingspan is about boards to boards in Boston, so it won't hurt him. I don't think the small ice surface in Boston will hurt the Penguins a bit.
We'll find out next Thursday when the series goes to Boston. Begin games 3 and 4. Here's Yager finding a check from Carpenter. Then Donato moves it around to the far corner. And Don Sweeney tries to clear it out. It goes over the glass instead, and the clock is stopped with 9 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in this opening period. He's not the biggest of the Bruins, but he is mighty.
No, Don Sweeney is a guy that's, well, he's listed at 5'10". I'm not sure that Don Sweeney is even 5'10", but he has been a very steady Boston defenseman now for a number of years. The question is, will he be able to handle the guys that I mentioned earlier? Tocchet, Loney, Stevens. In this case, it was Loney that took him to the boards. But they will have their hands full, the Boston defensemen will. And Rick Bowness knows it. Yesterday, he told me that he thought the Pittsburgh Penguins had an advantage in the experience department on defense.
I think he's probably right. That'll change a little bit when Ray Bourque gets into the lineup.
No question.
Now Weimer reaches in, takes the puck for the Bruins, moves it up the boards, but not out. Roberts with a long shot, turned aside by Moog, and a big rebound handled by Jeff Lazaro. Lazaro shoots it down the ice. Roberts chases it back, and we'll get an icing call against the Boston Bruins. Still 9 minutes remaining in the opening period. Trottier for Pittsburgh, Bob Sweeney for Boston. 1-1 is the score. Face-off coming in the circle to the left of Andy Moog will feature Brian Trottier with Yager on the right and Loney on the left for Pittsburgh. Dave Poulin will take the draw for Boston, so we've got a pair of 19s here. And some tremendous experience on the part of these two center icemen. Trottier won the draw, and then Poulin reached around and took the puck. And the Bruins, Jim Weimer moves it up and out of the zone, only to have it picked off by Jaromir Jagr. Jagr back to Roberts. Right side, Roy Loney on his off wing, dumps it in. Trottier races it after it as the puck got away from Moog. Trottier put it in the slot. Roberts pinching in, only to have it knocked away, and the Penguins recover at center ice. Peter Duras moved up to forecheck along with Lazaro, but now Loney brings it across the Boston line. Got it right back from Trottier, and then was checked by Weimer. Jagr driving to the corner. Trottier over on that side of the ice as well. Lazaro clears it out and down into the Pittsburgh zone. This will result in another icing call. Interesting that Rick Bowness has Jeff Lazaro out there every time Jaromir Jagr is on the ice for Pittsburgh.
Well, you know, I really think that that's Rick Bowness' second choice. His first choice would be having Ray Bourque out on the ice playing left defense, which is not Bourque's usual side, when Jagr is out there on right wing. Bourque not in the lineup, so his second choice is having Jeff Lazaro, number 14 of the Bruins, try and pick up Jagr when the Bruins lose the puck. But he also has Glenn Wesley on the ice as much as he can on the left side when Jagr is out there. One man cannot do it when a guy like Jagr is on fire, and he really has been in the playoffs.
You saw the sign, you can't check our Jagr. Nice spelling.
You know, at the beginning of the season, he weighed less than he did at the end of last season. Coaches were telling me today that the Czechoslovakian national team really kind of beat him up and worked him to death. And not only that, he took so much heat in the newspapers in Czechoslovakia for his play in the Canada Cup. And that's what I'm talking about, the Czech, not the national team, but the Canada Cup team that they put into the tournament. The press at home gave him such a rough time that he came to camp very down emotionally and down physically, and it took him half a season to work on lifting weights, to eat the right foods, to build himself back up. He is bigger now and stronger now than he was at the start of the season.
And he ran into that 10-game suspension as well that didn't do anything to help him.
That's for sure.
I saw that he was having a skate attended to by Steve Latin, the equipment manager for the Penguins. Here to have lost an edge. Kevin Stevens is out with Francis and McEachran just now. That's the Pittsburgh forward line. Adam Oates. Goes Joey Jeannot. Glenn Murray out there as well for the Boston Bruins. Stevens with an outlet into the center ice area. The defenseman moving up is Stanton. Stanton gets tied up by Jeannot. And the puck cleared around the boards, but right to Kevin Stevens. Stevens tried to center. That was cleared aside, and up come the Boston Bruins. Through center ice. Joey Jeannot put it in front. Barrasso plays it to the right side, and Sean McEachran gets it out of the zone. Penguins unable to recover at center. Jeannot got checked. Ulf Samuelsson, who didn't play any of the regular season games, 3 of them against Pittsburgh this year, goes to the left side, and the Penguins move out of the zone. Here's McEachran. McEachran trying to get the defense back in. Pulls up, centered it. Ulf Samuelsson was there, but so was Jim Weimer. Weimer, the Bruin defenseman, with an outlet quickly through center ice. Glenn Murray goes cross ice. Long shot by Jeannot, handled by Barrasso, and there's no further play. 7 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the opening period at Pittsburgh.
seats all filled. I want to show you a seat that's empty. It's the seat that is owned by Bud Crowell. He came to this game from Philadelphia. He's an off-ice official. He's only 6 inches off the floor here. He's the goal judge for this game, and it's not as good a location as you'll find in some of the other rinks. Every rink's a little bit different. Bud says he's about a foot lower here to watch the game and make decisions on goals than he is in Philadelphia. For that reason, he can't sit in this seat. He stands. Guys?
Oh, what a terrible way to spend a Sunday night, huh?
Oh, I talked to Bud before the game. He's happy.
And just to be here is a thrill. 7 minutes remaining in this opening period as the Bruins have dumped the puck in. Jim Pack back for it. He gets knocked into the boards heavily, and up with it is Phil Bourque. Long pass. This is puck. And it's being called back. That will be an offside.
Well, one of the things the Penguins are going to have to do is read the situation out on the ice. Watch Kevin Stevens. He makes a long up-ice pass to center, but watch how the Bruins get back very quickly.
Special welcome tonight to National Record.
Once Stevens moves it up to the middle of the ice, the Bruins are scrambling back. Now, by the time the Penguins get the puck here and move it across, we'll stop right here and show you this. Look at the Bruins in here. 4 Bruins defending, 3 Penguins in a triangle. This is the read the Penguins have to make. Get it in deep. Watch, they don't get it in deep. They have it pulled off their stick, so even at the blue line, Paul Stanton was trying to make a play. The Bruins got it out of their zone pretty easily.
Boston Bruins being very physical. Big hit on Jim Pack a moment ago. Pack regarded as a rookie, although he played in the Stanley Cup playoffs and briefly toward the end of the season a year ago. Peter Duras pinching in on the right wing boards along with Ted Donato. Duras up with the puck, and his shot went off the heel of his stick. Now Duras looks for somebody in the slot. Carpenter calling for it. Duras was well covered by Murphy, then slipped away. Peter Duras, a backhander into the goal mouth. They score! The Boston Bruins take a 2-1 lead on a goal from Ted Donato.
Right place at the right time, but Ted Donato, the Harvard grad, has made a career out of doing that. At Harvard, he had a nickname. It was Prime Time Player because he really is a good clutch man. Peter Duras picked up his own rebound, kept this whole thing alive. Boy, that's great work in the corner. Lost the Penguins defenseman, soloed all the way around the net with Jock Callender hanging all over him. But I'll tell you what, the Penguins double committed to Peter Duras and left Ted Donato wide open at the backside of the net. Duras knew he was there, made a nice backhand pass to him, and the Bruins have taken a 2-1 lead. Nice play.
Donato from Duras at the 13:35 mark. Ed Donato's 3rd goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Boston is on top, 2-1. Ward Roberts cross-ice pass. Just out of the reach of the forward moving in on that play. Here's Mikhailuk. Callender, Needham, and Mikhailuk out together. This is the unit called up from Muskegon of the International Hockey League after they've been eliminated. Well, in fact, a couple of them were here prior to their elimination by Kansas City. Bruins clad in black. Donato drops the puck back into his own zone, and it's picked up by Weimer. Over to Don Sweeney, but picked off. Mikhailuk looks for somebody in front. Centers, they score! Jock Callender.
You've got to respect Scotty Bowman's decision. Callender was on the ice when Donato scored. He could have pulled him off. He left him out, and this guy, Dave Mikhailuk from the corner, saw him, and even with a slight deflection, Callender was able to get the puck by Andy Moog. These guys both got over 100 points in the International League in Muskegon as line mates. They know each other very well. That's why Bowman has kept them together, and it paid off here. Mikhailuk to Callender, and a 2-2 game.
Following the same script as Game 1 in the Campbell Conference. Edmonton and Chicago seesawed through the first period, and then Chicago turned out the lights early in the second period last night. We've got the same kind of script going here in Pittsburgh in Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship. 2-2 now with just a little more than 5 minutes to play in the opening period, and the puck is tipped out of play and on into the Pittsburgh players' bench. So Pittsburgh takes the lead. Boston ties it. Boston goes to the head. Then Pittsburgh ties it. Jock Callender at the bench, and here's his goal, Bill.
You know, you don't know where your line mate is if you haven't played with them all season. And Scotty Bowman has decided to keep Mike Needham, the guy that just came over to congratulate Jock Callender, on his right side, and Dave McCulloch on his left side. I'm not sure he had a choice. He could break them up, but he made the smart move. He has left them together, and that was just a look at chemistry. That's all that goal was.
Couple of 30-year-old career minor leaguers, Jock Callender and Dave McCulloch, combining on that goal for Scotty Bowman's Pittsburgh Penguins. 18 years Scotty has had a team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is his 200th Stanley Cup playoff game that he's coaching tonight, Bill. That's experience, isn't it?
You bet. And now Dave McCulloch doesn't turn 30 until midnight tonight, so cut him a break on that. He's a 30-year-old rookie that's not really a rookie. He has played 14 games in the NHL in the early 80s with the Flyers. But because he is over 25, he is not a rookie any longer. If you hit 26, you're no longer a rookie.
A couple of pretty good line mates back in his Philadelphia years, too, didn't he?
Not bad. His last line mates in the NHL before coming up a couple of games ago were Bobby Clark and Darryl Sittler.
Both have been retired forever. No, just kidding. Ryan Trottier centering the puck. He comes back toward the line. Shell Samuelson had pinched in, and the Bruins have a 2-on-1 break. Here's Bob Sweeney to Dave Poulin. To Sweeney, shoots. Barrasso the save, and the rebound went wide. Poulin sets it up. Barrasso still not up in his skates. The Penguins fail to clear the zone. Puck loose back of the net. Bob Sweeney gets to it. Sweeney to Poulin, and a shot turned aside, and Barrasso is hurting. Tom Barrasso slow to get back up after making that stop. Yager outside the zone with a pass to Brian Trottier. Trottier dumps it in from the point, and he got belted from behind. The crowd roaring. The Bruins up with the puck. Stick handling into the center ice area was Glenn Wesley, and he was pulled down. And Francis has a pass picked off. Joey Junot. They try to set something up here. Wesley shot blocked by Barrasso, and Phil Bourque moves it up ahead. Here's Paul Stanton, right side to Francis. Francis trying to drive around Junot. Can't center it. Francis gets through it again and lost it. Joey Junot turns it over, however, and the Pittsburgh Penguins play it back in the net. Phil Bourque on it. He gets checked, and the Bruins dump it out through center ice. Coming back in the puck is Tocchet. He gives it to Francis. Off his stick to Bourque, and that will be called back. Murphy got the stick up on Bourque. Referee Andy Van Helleman pointing here.
You know, Jigs, one thing is a given. If you make it to the Final Four in the NHL, you have to have had excellent goaltending. Andy Moog has been sensational all season long. On this play, Yager crosses. He has Trottier, but he decides to go wide. Puck just caroms off the board, but look at Trottier over there to get it and then to dump it in front. Finally, the Bruins are able to break away. And we're going to see Tom Barrasso at his best. 6'3", 210 pounds, still very quick. Sweeney to Poulin, back to Sweeney. And one thing that people underestimate is Tom Barrasso's size even when he's down. And that's the play we think he hurt himself on. That net is only 4 feet high and 6 feet wide, and it's 6'3", 210 pounds with all of the gear. Even when Barrasso is down, he covers a lot of it. Sweeney couldn't get it over him and find the top of the net. 2 saves on that series. The first one on Sweeney, and the second one on Poulin. He may have hurt it on the Sweeney shot, but he definitely looked like he was in pain on that Dave Poulin shot, but it wasn't a hard one.
He has faced 11 shots from the Boston Bruins, and now Rick Tocchet is in the, or excuse me, Phil Bourque is off for roughing at the 16:24 mark. Bourque got mixed up in that exchange at the players' benches, drew the only penalty. Earlier in the period, Pittsburgh was 2 men short. Tocchet just tumbled to the deck, and the crowd thought there should have been a penalty there. You heard their obvious booing and hissing in the background. Barrasso moves the puck up the boards, didn't get it out of the zone. The Bruins on the power play. Long shot. Barrasso the save, and he's slow getting up again. Tom Barrasso favoring his right leg now, Bill.
No question. At what point is he going to pull the plug? I mean, he is... if he doesn't do something quickly, Jigs, he may cost his team here. Now, he's got to be brave and he's got to be a hero at the same time, I guess, but he's got to use good judgment here.
Ruzicka trying to set up the Bruins power play. The pass was behind Carpenter, and out comes Sean McEachran. He has speed and shows it here. Pulled back a little, and Loney driving to the net. Now Loney peels off to the corner to recover the puck. Troy Loney with a couple of Bruins trying to jab it away from him. Adam Oates frees it up, and Ruzicka starts out. 53 seconds in the Boston power play. Ruzicka's long shot went wide. Driving and after it here, Glenn Murray. Penguins up with it, however. Troy Loney unable to get it around Oates, who's pinched in off the point. Into the corner for Jeannot. Joey Jeannot back to the line for Oates, and it jumped over his stick. Adam Oates recovers with half a minute in the Boston power play. 2-2 is the score. 2 minutes remaining in the opening period at Pittsburgh. Jim Pack right around the boards. Came to the line. Oates has to play it outside the line, and it's picked off. Here they come. Herdina with a break, trying to get around Oates, and it's jabbed off his stick by Oates. Andy Moulds plays it up the boards, and the Bruins come through center ice. Glenn Murray led the rush. Murray drives to the net. They tried to get it back, but Reed couldn't complete the pass, and it's cleared out by Gordy Roberts. That will kill off the penalty against Phil Bourque. Pittsburgh penalty killing has been excellent. The big concern here is Tom Barrasso. Bruins didn't really test him on that power play, but now Jeannot is over the line here on the right side. Jeannot, number 49, got checked. Murphy held it in at the point. Knocked down heavily, and the play was Dave Reed, and the Bruins recovered in the center ice zone. Gord Murphy just dumps it back into the Pittsburgh end of the ice.
I just watched Tom Barrasso fall down when Peter Duras banged into him. He got back up, and he looks like he's better than he was a couple of minutes ago. Perhaps it's not a muscle pull at all. Perhaps he just took a good hit. That's something that just takes a few minutes to go away. The pain goes away from the hit. It doesn't from a pulled muscle or a torn ligament.
His backup goaltender, by the way, is Ken Regan, the former Philadelphia Flyer netminder. John Lemelin is the backup for the Boston Bruins. Here's Trache, who scored the opening goal tonight, to Yager. Tips it outside the line. Over went Murphy as Kevin Stevens plays it up the board. Trache couldn't get to it in the Pittsburgh zone. Stanton brought it in, a delayed offside situation here, giving the Bruins a chance to clear it out, and Murphy does, skying one high in the air that hit the scoreboard. We're late in the opening period. 2-2 is the score at Pittsburgh.
Well, Tom Barrasso must have gotten word to the bench that he is all right. He seems to be flexing his leg. But on a Sweeney Poulin attack about 5 minutes ago, he appeared to be hurt. This is a little later with Peter Duras, and he got a jab there, didn't he? He got a spear. That's why he went down, but it was when I was watching him get up after that play that he looked like he was all right again.
Play underway here again as the Penguins have dumped it in. And the Bruins try to move it out. And do. Dave Poulin down the left side, got ridden off the puck by Trache. Poulin recovered. Gave it to Bob Sweeney, who dumps it in. Also moves out of the net, but Paul Stanton will play the puck. Into the corner for Phil Bourque. Not enough time to go anywhere. There's the horn to end this first period. So at the end of one, 2-2 is the score between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins. Here's Bob Papa.
Thank you very much, Jigs. Here's what we have for you in between periods. We'll bring you highlights of period number one. We'll take you back to last night's win by the Chicago Blackhawks over the Edmonton Oilers. And after this timeout, Mike Emmerich talks with Ron Francis of the Pittsburgh Penguins. All that and more after this on Sports Channel America.
The Steel City and the smelting plants that made it famous along the Monongahela and the Allegheny that form the Ohio. The city of Pittsburgh, where the Penguins and the Boston Bruins are tied at 2 at the end of the first 20 minutes. Brian Trache unassisted at 3:26. Then it was Bob Sweeney unassisted and shorthanded at 5:40 tying the game. Boston went ahead on a goal by Olympian Ted Donato from Peter Duras at 13:35 and Jacques Callender from Dave Mikhailuk at 14:22. The line from Muskegon click. Shots on goal, 12-5. Boston with the advantage in the first period of play. I think if you were to ask anyone in this Steel City what the turning point was in the series that got them this far, it would be Ron Francis getting a hat trick in Game 4. That evened the series with the New York Rangers at 2 games apiece. Ron Francis with a big diving poke here early in the game that really helped kill off a 5-on-3. Bill Clement remarked, and I did too at the time, I was thinking, gosh, Andy Van Hellemond tends to not call that many penalties, and all of a sudden in the first 45 seconds you're short 5-on-3. That must have been a shock.
Well, it's kind of a tough way to start a hockey game. You want to get out there and kind of get into a little bit of flow, and you get a penalty right into the start of the first period, and then we have to go 5-on-3, and it takes a lot out of you early, and not only that, it keeps a lot of the guys that are usually out there at that point of the game on the bench and then a little colder.
Oh, you were a highly productive player for this Pittsburgh team when they won the championship last year, an important player to them. Do important guys play even more important when they have to fill in for a guy like Mario Lemieux?
Well, certainly I don't think one or two guys is going to replace Mario Lemieux or Joey Mullen. I mean, they're a big part of our offense. They scored a lot of goals and a lot of points for us this year. And, you know, we just all said that we all have to pick up our game a notch, and we're going to take 20 guys working hard every night to be successful. And certainly my role is a little bit different when Mario's in the lineup and out of the lineup. And, you know, I was one of the guys that was needed to step forward.
Just to crank our memories back to that last series, was there a point when you felt, yeah, we've got the Rangers now, we've got the best team overall in the regular season?
I don't know if we ever had a point where we felt that. I think that, you know, if there was a turning point, if you want to call that, I thought it was here in Game 4 where they had us 4-2 and they had a 5-minute major, and you know, if they score on that, it's basically over and done with. We're down 3-1 heading back into their building, but we were able to kill that off. We were able to come back and score 2 quick goals right after that and win it in overtime, and that seemed to turn it around for us.
Well, all of Pittsburgh is saying bravo for your effort so far, and all the best to you as this series develops.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Ron Francis, our guest here between periods. Bob Papa will be along shortly to talk about that Chicago series going on with the Edmonton Oilers as our coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel continues. Let's pause for this regional break.
To our New York studios, everybody. Boston and Pittsburgh tied at 2 at the end of 1 period of play. Well, this afternoon, Chicago Stadium was rocking as the Chicago Bulls knocked off the New York Knicks. Last night it was rocking as well. The Blackhawks and Edmonton Oilers squaring off in game number 1 of the Campbell Conference Championship, a rematch of the series 2 years ago. And hitting right off the bat, Igor Kravchuk on Edmonton's Scott Mellenby as he sends Mellenby to the ice. But Edmonton strikes back. Watch Joe Murphy, a flagrant cross-check to the back of Kravchuk's neck. The end result pretty obvious. A clean, hard-hit results in Chicago's first goal. You see the hit at the top of your screen. Steve Larmer flattens Joe Murphy. Stefan Matteau picks up the puck. Jeremy Roenick over to Larmer. There's the goal, 1-0 Chicago. That lead doesn't last long, though. Dave Manson with the blast from the top of the left circle beats his former teammates. We are tied up at 1 apiece. Chicago will regain the lead. Jeremy Roenick with the individual effort. He spins and scores. The Hawks take a 2-1 lead. 27 seconds later, the Oilers tie it again. Craig McTavish with the wraparound, and Belfour can't control the puck. We are tied up at 2. Second period, the Hawks go on a scoring binge. First, it's Rob Brown over to Mike Peluso, his first ever playoff goal, 3-2 Hawks. 29 seconds later, it'll be Steve Larmer on a pretty pass to Jeremy Roenick. Look at it right there, 4-2 Chicago. Don't blink, because Chicago scores again. On the power play, Steve Smith winds and fires. 3 goals in 1 minute and 26 seconds. The Hawks go on to win Game 1. The final score, 8-2 at Chicago Stadium in Game 2 of the Campbell Conference Championship. Tomorrow evening here on Sports Channel America, 8:30 the start time. The Edmonton Oilers and Chicago Blackhawks from the Madhouse on Madison. Well, when we come back, we'll bring you highlights of period number 1 of the Wales Conference Championship. But as we take this time out, let's take a look at the playoff scoring leaders brought to you by Air Canada. We now pause for a regional break. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff action on Sports Channel America is being brought to you by Subaru with all-wheel drive. Subaru is truly what to drive. By Air Canada, it's a welcome departure. And by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement.
Set for the second period at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. The score tied 2-2. The Bruins to the right, the Penguins to the left. Trache on the faceoff for Pittsburgh against Dave Poulin of Boston, and the Penguins move the puck into the Boston zone. The Bruins tighten up, and here's Dave Poulin with it. Poulin handed by Troy Loney. Poulin able to dump it in, and the Bruins make an immediate change as Paul Stanton goes back of the net. Stanton, another of the Boston area products, playing for Pittsburgh. Cross-ice pass. Yager let it go. Now gets to it. Yager to Loney, and he's checked right at the blue line. Don Sweeney moves it back into the Pittsburgh zone. Stanton chases it with Grzycka coming in on him. Penguins playing out around the boards and all the way down into the Boston zone. A race for it. Don Sweeney will beat Yager to the puck. Sweeney moved it up the board. And the Bruins try to move up on that same side of the ice, only to have Pack taken away and shoot it back in. Once again, they move out. Steve Leach. Pass to Grzycka. He gets checked. Now Wesley steps over center ice. And Wesley dumps it in, and the Bruins continue a player change as Brian Trottier goes for the puck. We're a minute into the second period at Pittsburgh. Roy Loney across the Boston line. Snaps one that went wide of Andy Moog. Moog able to turn it up ahead here, and Jim Weimer tries a cross-ice pass to Steve Leach. He got checked by Pack. Kevin Stevens drops back. Now Weimer steps over center on into the Pittsburgh zone. The rushing defenseman here with a backhander. Glove save by Barrasso. Held it, then bit of a collision with Dave Reed. Now, between periods, Mike Emmering had an opportunity to talk with Barry Smith, the assistant coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Assistant coach Barry Smith has joined us here between periods. First of all, our concern is about Tom Barrasso's health. How is he?
Tom will be all right. He caught a stick, so it's sore right now, but he'll be fine. He's a competitor. He'll come back out second period. He's got ice on it, but he'll be okay.
Did this first period start surprise you?
Well, both teams were tentative. We didn't know what to expect from the Boston Bruins. They didn't know what to expect from us because there's new teams playing here. We don't really know each other as well as possibly teams in our own division. And we started out, we've had a couple days off. They've had a couple days off. We were a little bit, didn't want to make mistakes, hold back a little bit more, didn't get the puck to the net as much as we wanted to. So I think the second period, you'll see us shoot a little bit more and go after rebounds, a little bit more drive offensively.
Thanks, good luck.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, these teams will get to know one another very quickly. Interesting cat and mouse at the beginning of the second period. Scotty Bowman would not put any players on the ice until Rick Bowness put his 5 guys out to start the second period. He is trying to get away, Scotty Bowman is, from a matchup. He does not want Yager out there against Jeff Lazaro. That's why the Bruins made the quick change as soon as the puck was dropped, because they also want Lazaro out there against Yager.
Right now, the Penguins have Francis, McEachran, and Stevens out on the ice. This is Francis centering pass, and they couldn't relay it to McEachran in time. John McEachran driving back in the net, got away from Reed, centered in front. Francis put it on target. Moog to save. Another shot gets through, and another one is blocked, and another. And now a delayed penalty to be signaled. The Bruins go for the puck as Poulin gets to it. Boston will be shorthanded. A holding penalty on Gord Murphy. What action on the part of Andy Moog, and the chances for the Pittsburgh Penguins were amazing.
Well, he had to be terrific. But we talked about the Penguins' size. Look at Kevin Stevens barge his way to the net, and then Ron Francis is simply too strong for Gord Murphy. Gord Murphy pulls him down and will go off for the interference call. But Andy Moog, 2 tremendous stops. He is not nearly as big as Tom Barrasso when he's standing. He's not nearly as big when he is down. But the little guy was flailing away, and he was able to get a piece of at least 2 of those shots. But the Penguins will go back on the power play, and this is something that we mentioned early. The Penguins' size up front, and can guys like Gord Murphy and Don Sweeney and Glenn Wesley cope with it? And can Andy Moog stand tall enough to stop them when they get in front? He sure did on this sequence. And Sean McEachran has speed that is underrated. People are going to start hearing about Sean McEachran very quickly. Quickness in the corners, good straightaway speed. He made this whole play happen with that little twisting movement in the corner.
Doesn't get much better than that. No, you're right. When you talk about McEachran, the other thing to keep in mind is his shot. He has got a laser beam when he gets it away.
Yeah, and he played 15 regular season games, and he played over 10 playoff games with the Penguins. But it's interesting, he only scored his first goal in the last game they played, knocking out the New York Rangers. If they get him going, he'll just be one more component that the Bruins will have to worry about.
Bruins have a penalty to kill here. Gord Murphy off for holding just prior to the 2-minute mark of the second period.
And I say it's interesting that it took Sean McEachran that long to score, because he came to the Penguins as a scorer out of BU and out of the U.S. Olympic team.
Some concern that he maybe got caught up in having signed a contract and looking ahead to his pro career when he was over in France. His first one was a big one, and now the Penguins look for one more here on the power play. It's broken up at the line, and Larry Murphy goes cross ice to Kevin Stevens. Stevens trying to get it to Phil Bourque. It was tipped. Bourque goes in after it. Shoulder to shoulder with Don Sweeney, and Jim Weimer, the Boston defenseman, moved it up the boards. Held in by Francis to Tocchet in front to Stevens. Checked by Poulin. Now Murphy comes to the right wing boards and dumps it back of the net. Jim Weimer trying to play it through traffic. Knocks it away from Francis, but Murphy is tight on the right wing board. Larry Murphy at his pass, tipped out of the zone by Reed. Less than a minute remaining in Gord Murphy's holding penalty. We have a Larry Murphy with Pittsburgh, and Gord Murphy, also the defenseman, playing with Boston. Pittsburgh power play having trouble getting out of its own zone, aren't they?
And 2 Samuelsons, and wait till Rayborg comes back to go with Phil.
Francis over the line, draped on the boards. Good check thrown by Glenn Wesley. Francis trying to recover. He and Stevens battled for it. And a big hit. Down went Francis. Off will go a Boston Bruin. Cross-checking penalty. 29 seconds still in the first Boston penalty. Francis just now getting back up on his skates as the Penguins have a big chance coming up.
You really have to learn from the tone that a referee sets at the beginning of a hockey game. Andy Van Hellemond served notice early, Jakes, in this one that he would call penalties even if a team was down a man. He did it to Pittsburgh, and he has done it now to the Boston Bruins. You have to call that. 4 feet from the boards, from behind, a cross-check into the small of the back. Ron Francis went down head first. Bob Sweeney went to the box. Scotty Bowman's got a golden opportunity here to take the lead. They've got a 5-on-3 that will last 29 seconds.
Murphy in the middle, Yager on the right, Stevens on the left. The left point, he and Larry Murphy. Cross ice, Murphy gives it to Francis. Top of the circle, in deeper. Slipped away from Yager and is shot down the ice by Dave Poulin. We talk about the quickness and the youth that's been inserted into the Boston lineup. Let's not overlook the return of Dave Poulin, a veteran who missed 60-some games through injury this year. Now the Penguins have Yager right in front, and he shot it wide. Wow. Now out of the corner, Larry Murphy with a drive. That missed the net, and the Bruins are only one man short. Francis can't pinch to the boards in time, and it's cleared out by Boston. Also out of the net, tees it up for Larry Murphy. Yager turns and goes up the left wing boards, accepts the pass. Stick handling through center, Petrache. Back to Yager. Petrache, but now a late whistle. And an offside appears to be the call.
I'm not sure, Jigs. I thought it was Andy Van Hellemond that blew the whistle, and he's pointing to the bench. Perhaps he spotted a too many men penalty. Kevin Stevens led this rush through the neutral zone, and he was going full speed, but boy, did that stop when he came to Glenn Wesley. Wesley is the biggest Bruins defenseman in uniform, and he will use it. He's had an outstanding season, and he has played more aggressively this year than in the past. But look at this. 2 Penguins alone in front. Jaromir Jagr elected to shoot instead of passing to Larry Murphy, and he missed by a hair. But a good takeout by Glenn Wesley against a much bigger man. Wesley just tips the scale barely at 200. Stevens at 225. And with Yuri Hrdina headed to the penalty box, I imagine that's perhaps what Andy Van Hellemond saw as a too-many-men call.
Yeah, exactly right. So it'll be 4-on-4 hockey. Bob Sweeney still sitting on a cross-checking penalty when Scotty Bowman was making a change. Got too many men out there. Gord Murphy, the Boston defenseman, will pass to the right side. Leach cutting to the left, dumps it in. Hard hit. Leach and Stanton. Well, Samuelson back to the puck. Around to Yager. Jaromir Jagr. To the right side, but behind Stanton, who gets to it now, sends Yager into the clear. Gord Murphy right on him. Loeb slipped as he came out of the net. Yager puts the puck in front. That's turned aside. Weaver has moved it around to the near side, and the Bruins had that cross-ice pass. Murphy got it to Weaver. Drops it to Ruzicka. Went to center, one that tipped through in front of the Penguin goal and recovered by Yager. The outlet, and a good one to Samuelson. Now to Bourque on right wing. Phil Bourque shot is kicked out. Good pad save by Andy Moe. Yager trying to get away from Weaver. Look at the strength of Yager. Goes to the corner, tipped the puck, but Leach was there. Around to Gord Murphy. Loney bumps him, and the puck ends up in center ice. In 7 seconds, the Boston Bruins will have a 50-second power play. Clock stopped here after that 2-line pass is called against Pittsburgh.
Well, there wasn't any question. Andy Van Hellemond spotted too many men on the ice. If you connect the dots and start with the Penguins, there's 1 dot, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. There's 6. No question about that one. It's interesting, most of the time the linesmen see that one. Andy Van Hellemond is on top of his game. He spotted that one from, gosh, way over the far blue line.
So the Boston power play coming up in about 5 seconds' time. The Penguin coaching staff has sent out Shel Samuelson along with Troy Loney, Sean McEachran. Jim Pack is on the ice.
Usually when those too many men penalties happen, it's simply a miscommunication on the bench. Your coach will say you're up. Sometimes the coach makes a mistake and picks another guy and doesn't tell you to hold back. Sometimes you don't hear him clearly, but it's almost always a problem with verbal communication, nothing more.
Well, the Bruins will try to set something up here with the extra man. 40 seconds in their power play, but they'll have to start it from back inside their own blue line. Boston has had only one shot on goal through the first 5.5 minutes of the second period. The Penguins, on the other hand, have had 5, as many as they had through the entire first 20 minutes of the game. Joey Junot changed the pronunciation of his name. Wants that Joey in there. And Junot picks up the puck again. Junot, French-Canadian descent, gets checked in the far corner. 3 Bruins over on that corner of the ice. Junot with it. Plays it back to the point. Setting up here is Ted Donato. Junot comes off the boards. Fakes, then fires one. Pad save by Barrasso, and Loney clears it out to center. And here's a breakaway for Hrdina. Coming right in on Moog to the backhand. Beaten by Andy Moog. Wow.
Well, I haven't seen Yuri Hrdina play for the last 50 games, at least consistently, but it has been over 50 games since Hrdina has scored. He's got to be talking to himself right now. Boy, we expected tremendous goaltending, and that's what we've gotten. Joey Junot with a big slapper on Tom Barrasso. The Bruins couldn't get to it, and when the rebound was slapped out, bounced over a stick at the blue line, you really have to play that puck with your glove, knowing the guy's coming out of the box. And Hrdina tried to get it up high. I don't think he got it up quite high enough. And Andy Moog was able to smother it. Ted Donato was back on the point for the Bruins, but when you hear your goaltender slapping a stick on the ice, which is a signal the guy is coming out of the box behind you, you can't play a rolling puck with your stick. You've got to get down into the shortstop position.
Donato get back just in time to get the lumber on Hrdina, too.
Yeah, and he kept the lumber low.
Bob Carpenter with 2 men back. Helps it in for the Bruins. Doris moving in on the right side. The puck comes to the other direction and is cleared out of the zone by Rick Tocchet. Bounces around inside that Boston zone. Gord Murphy clears it up right wing, and here's Dave Poulin. Poulin drops it back. Bruins step over the line. Duras left it for Poulin. Into the corner for Peter Duras. Put it in front for Carpenter, and he couldn't handle it. Now the Penguins get a chance to move out. 2-on-1. Murphy quickly through center ice. Larry Murphy is checked. Nice sweep by Hines. Gord Hines, the defenseman, played on the Canadian Olympic team. The puck is dumped in. And immediately the Penguins move it out toward Larry Murphy. All the goal scoring came in the opening period. 2-2 is the score at Pittsburgh. The Boston Bruins turn the puck over in their own zone. Tocchet in front to Stevens. Long shot. Andy Moog has it, and there's no further play. A little stick work going on. Some skirmish. Pushed aside here by the linesmen, Bonnie and Gauthier. 2-2 at Pittsburgh as we pause for a regional break. Years and still going strong. The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service is celebrating the Big 5-0 this year, and this game, like so many others before it, is being transmitted live to U.S. servicemen and women around the globe. Happy birthday, Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. Biggs McDonald with Bill Clement and Mike Emmerich in Pittsburgh. 2-2 is the score, and Yager came within a foot and a half of making it 3-2 Pittsburgh. He missed the net by that much. Missed the net earlier in this period. Now the Bruins have an opportunity, and a shot is turned aside by Tom Barrasso as Steve Leach was beaten. And the Bruins come right back in. Ruzicka is knocked off his skates, and there will be a penalty against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a holding call on Paul Stanton. Chance at one end, and then it develops into a chance at the other end.
You know, Jigs, I think a lot of people felt that this would simply be a series involving Pittsburgh's offense against Buffalo's defense. Well, I'll tell you what, or at least Boston's defense. Boston's offense is better than a lot of people think. Steve Leach had to pick that puck up on his skate, and that's why he couldn't get it by Tom Barrasso. But look, Phil Borg with another pass. The Penguins have tried so many ill-advised diagonal passers coming out of their zone. That's really why Stanton had to get back there and hook Ruzicka, because Phil Borg tried a pass that really was a dangerous pass. The Penguins are trying low percentage plays. They got one cut in the first period when Bob Sweeney scored. Paul Stanton was forced into that one. And while Rick Bowness's Bruins are better offensively than a lot of people think, and this only happened in the last month and a half since getting a lot of his kids from the Olympic programs of Canada and the United States, Pittsburgh is a better defensive team than a lot of people give them credit for. They are capable of playing solid defense when they put their minds to it. They proved it against Washington and also the New York Rangers.
Now the Bruins with a bad advantage. This is their 5th power play of the game. They started from deep in their own zone after the Penguins had cleared it. This is Adam Oates. Oates acquired from the St. Louis Blues, looks toward Wesley, then he elects to carry it over center and dump it in. Also out of the net. Plays it up the boards. The Bruins flood this side of the ice, but the Penguins come away with the puck. Ron Francis tumbles into the boards heavily. Reached back, and his teammate, Paul Samuelson, has dumped it down into the Boston zone. Francis coming off for a rest. So is Tocchet. Of course, McEachran and Loney is the penalty killers for Pittsburgh. The Bruins send Reed into forecheck. Dave Reed takes a hard hit. Puck ends up in the corner. McEachran after it. On McEachran, ties it out through center ice. Oates knocks it down. Oates and Wesley. Wesley plays it back into the zone. Under a minute remaining in this Boston power play. They get them out of an attack on Tom Barrasso or the Penguins. Adam Oates, cross ice. This is Glenn Wesley. Back to Oates. Oates over center ice. Gave it to Jeannot. Joey Jeannot. Tied up by McEachran. The puck came back to Ted Donato. Donato to Jeannot. Cross ice pass. Leach feeds it back. Donato to Jeannot. Jeannot again cross ice. Leach lets it go. Barrasso has it and clears it aside for Loney. Only Loney able to dump it down the ice. Andy Moog out to play it. 20 seconds left in this Boston power play. The game tied 2-2 at Pittsburgh. Ted Donato up the slot. The puck knocked off his stick. Donato able to recover. Worked it in a little deeper. Donato tight on the left wing boards. The Bruins come around that direction, but it's Adam Oates with the puck. Oates turns back from Trottier. Head the puck to the line. Gord Murphy with a drive. Barrasso got a chunk of that, and the teams are at 6 aside again. Jeannot puts it back at the Pittsburgh goal. It's jabbed away by Barrasso, recovered by Trottier. Now to Stanton. 2 men back for Boston. Stanton to Trottier. Trottier driving on Weimer. Tries to cut through the defense. Couldn't get to the net, and the Penguins are forced out to center. Back for it is Murphy. Ward Roberts. His pass on the stick of Stevens. The shot blocked. The puck loose. And the Penguins recover. Kevin Stevens left it for Callender. To Yager in front to Stevens. And look at the job they did on him, dragging him down. And there will be a penalty. Dave Poulin turns, looks at Andy Van Helleman, tonight's referee. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to go to the power play with 9.5 minutes remaining in the second period. And the game remains the Penguins 2 and the Bruins 2.
Once again, the Penguins' size up front has been a factor. Kevin Stevens, biggest, strongest forward they have, doing his stuff along the board, showing pretty good quickness, and then just making his way to the front of the net. Dave Poulin let up for just a second, and that was all Stevens needed to get in front of him. Dave Poulin had to pull him down.
Out come the Shark Fins. Out comes the Pittsburgh power play. 4th time tonight. They've been stung by the Bruins on a short-handed goal. Here, they jammed the front of the net, but the puck came loose. Chuck Callender, Kevin Stevens, and Jaromir Jagr. Jagr pushed off the puck back in the net. It finds its way to Francis at the left point. In deeper to Stevens, down to Murphy. Larry Murphy to Jagr off the tip of his stick. Jagr outmuscles his man and gets control of it. Jagr much bigger and stronger than Don Sweeney. Now Francis at the point. In front to Callender to Stevens. Stevens rubbed out by Gord Murphy. Callender up with the puck. Sets up Francis. Up the slot. Blocked in front and recovered by Don Sweeney. Up around the boards. Murphy is pinched by Bob Sweeney. The Penguins recover at center ice. That was quite a pick. Jagr centers it in front. Don Sweeney turns it over. Larry Murphy into Stevens. The Callender back of the net. Gord Murphy all over him. And now Jagr picks up the puck. Comes right back into the net. Centered it to Stevens. To Murphy for a drive. Andy Moog has that. Tucked away up at the top of his catching glove.
The Bruins kill penalties very aggressively. That's Rick Bowness' style. He played that way. He was a very aggressive player, and they don't only kill penalties aggressively, they try to forecheck aggressively and use their speed, and you can see that they don't stay in a passive box. They're pushing guys all over the place. Here they've gone back into kind of a box, but it's a little too tight. That's why Larry Murphy is wide open at the top. You have to space it out a little bit, and the Bruins got all pulled together, so Larry Murphy was wide open for a blast. Well, you saw Rick Bowness play. You'd have to figure that the Bruins would play an aggressive style, not necessarily trying to run people over because they don't have the size to do that, but aggressive in their skating, aggressive in their approach, their forechecking, their penalty killing. He epitomizes what the Bruin logo has been over the years. Good, hard work.
Not flashy, but solid. Came to play every night. Rick Bowness, you were a teammate of his, as I recall.
You bet. And before the game, we had a clip from Rick Bowness, and he said, I respect Scotty Bowman, but I'm not intimidated by him. And that also represented Rick Bowness as a player. He was a small guy that fought every heavyweight in the league and didn't beat that many of them, but fought them all.
Had a trying season with the Boston Bruins. Remember so many headlines like Tick, Tick, Rick. Night after night, I'm sure if he didn't win, it seemed like his job was going to end in a hurry. But here they are in the conference final, and the score tied 2-2. They're killing off the Pittsburgh power play. Trottier centering pass. Intercepted and cleared out by Dave Reed, and Stanton hustles back. All the goals in the opening 20 minutes of this game. And midway through the second period, 2-2. And 15 seconds left in the Pittsburgh power play. Stevens with a nice pass to Tocchet. Tocchet back to Stevens, cuts in, shoots, and Moog makes the glove save. Oh, is that pretty to watch?
Well, we talked a lot about Kevin Stevens' size, but his skating speed is terrific as well. Here when he comes to the blue line, he makes a pass and he catches both Bruins forwards and just keeps going. If two guys are going to pinch on you, at least one of them has to get in front of the guy that's charging down the ice, and really neither Dave Reed or his teammate who was out there was able to get in front of Kevin Stevens. They caught him and pulled him off balance just in time, seemed to throw his shot off a little bit, but Andy Moog still had to be strong. Man, he is so quick. At 5'8" and 170 pounds, he is about an average size for goaltenders in the NHL. Barrasso is huge, one of the biggest at 6'3" and 210. But Andy Moog's quickness is what makes up for his lack of size, and that's usually the case. Smaller the goalie, the quicker the goalie.
That Bruin on his helmet is snapping the pucks up tonight. 17 shots for Boston, 15 by the Penguins, 10 of them in this period, and 3 of them on this power play that has just now expired. Bill Bourque trying to set something up from back of that Boston goal. Put it in the goal mouth. They bang at it. The scramble on. Penguins have it again, but Bill Bourque's shot doesn't get through. Now Stanton at the right point. Dumps it back in the net. Moog able to handle it. And Don Sweeney comes up the left wing boards. Sweeney has Adam Oates with him. Dave Poulin as well. He's dumped it in deep. Rosso leaves it back of the net. Ulf Samuelsson checking his options. Give it to Stanton. Stanton has a little trouble getting it out of the zone, and when he did, Wesley was there and he shot it right back in. So the Penguins will try again. Once more, Samuelsson to Stanton. Paul Stanton rushing with the puck. Trying to go through the defense, got knocked off his skates. The Bruins recover, and Matt Hervey, who's been used sparingly, but is out in defense now, along with Wesley. Hervey has cleared it out, and Ulf Samuelsson overled Troy Loney at center ice. Loney and Trottier out, and now the linesman, Gerard Gauthier, in a collision with Bob Carpenter. And Gauthier taken up on that hit. 6 minutes, 36 seconds remaining in the second period. Still a 2-2 score at Pittsburgh.
Well, the Penguins still having trouble reading the play. Here's Paul Stanton bringing the puck up the ice. Look at this. 4 Bruins back. What do you do? I mean, this is basically a 1-on-4. You've got to get the puck in deep. We'll stop it right here and show you that his teammate is being taken out on the side. It really becomes a 1-on-2. Paul Stanton tries to carry and just gets flattened for his effort right there in the play. An easy time for the Boston Bruins. The Penguins are a talented team. They have to be a smart team. When the Bruins put 4 guys back, nobody's going to penetrate them.
May have been a long day for that youngster. The Pirates were at home this afternoon, and then here to the Civic Arena to see the Penguins and the Bruins. Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship. A year ago, Pittsburgh eliminated Boston in 6. Many think that this series will go the distance, the full 7. Ryan Trottier clearing the puck out of the zone. Troy Loney at center ice, surrounded by Bruins, but up comes Yager. Yager tried to drive around Hervey. One hand on the stick, and he got checked by Dave Poulin, who came back to help. Poulin to Bob Sweeney. Played it off the boards. Shell Samuelsson will recover at center ice. Look toward Yager. He elects to go further to Trottier, and he's pushed off the puck. And a 2-line pass would appear to be the call from the linesman, and the clock is stopped with a little under 6 minutes to play in the second period. Still 2-2.
Take a look at the shaft of that hockey stick. That's Bobby Carpenter's stick. Wayne Bonney is down picking up all the toothpicks from it splintering. Tell you how it got that way. Brian Trottier was cross-checked right across the back, and he has asked Andy Van Hellemond for about 3 penalties against the Bruins, and he hasn't gotten one call to go his way. Carpenter broke his stick, went to the bench, got another one, and play continued. But it was a real good lick that Trottier took in the back. Well, obviously, a lot of toothpicks,
I'll say.
and they are dangerous. The reason the linesmen take so much time picking them up is that all you need is one toothpick left out there, and it can drop you at full speed. And if you're hitting into the boards, that's a problem.
And look back at the Boston bench. There's another one of the many stories with the Bruins this year. Not just the kids coming into the lineup, but the return of Bob Carpenter.
Boy, isn't that something? He broke his kneecap last season, came back, and in his first game back in the playoffs, re-broke it. Missed 12 games this year just to rest the kneecap when he couldn't go back-to-back games. Missed 8 other games due to injury, but still got 20 goals for the 7th time in his career. Bobby Carpenter has been a real good addition for the Boston Bruins.
Talk about additions. When the Olympics were over, this man, Sean McEachran, reported here to Pittsburgh out of Boston University.
We're going to take a close look at Sean McEachran during our second intermission. Bob Papa has a feature on the Boston University star, spent 3 years there in Jack Parker's program.
Now Ruzicka for the Bruins has dumped the puck into the Pittsburgh zone. Gord Roberts parks behind the net. Veteran defenseman up off the glass. Couldn't get it around Ruzicka. Francis reached up and knocked the puck over the glass. Taking a while to play this second period. 5 minutes and 28 seconds remaining here. Ronnie Francis, the story of the round between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers when he stepped forth to fill the breach and Mario Lemieux went down.
Well, what an incredible athlete that can come to a team such as the Pittsburgh Penguins and play in the shadow of a guy who's sitting in the shadows right now. Mario Lemieux is up there in the top row, just in front of the gentleman that is standing up. But not only did Ron Francis step into the shadow, but Craig Patrick, his general manager, who is watching, has seen him step out of the shadow and back into a number 1 position, the position that he owned in Hartford for so many years as their number 1 center. It's hard to step into the shadow. It's just as hard to crank it back up when you step out of the shadow.
He's so good on the face-offs, not just the numbers that he has put up, but the important face-offs offensively and defensively that he's won. Crockett, Francis, and Stevens together. The puck ends up in the Pittsburgh zone. Old Samuelson back for it. Samuelson and Stanton on defense. The Bruins, excellent forechecking. Lazaro freed up the puck. And the shot from the blue line went wide as Murphy moved in. Gord Murphy came right out in front, and Samuelson was there to knock it away from Oates. Now Gord Murphy at the right point. The former Philadelphia Flyer puts it back at that goal. Junot, Joey Junot, it's wrapped up on the boards. He showed some strength as he got the puck to a teammate. Now back to Weimer. The centering pass went off the skates. And Glenn Murray parked in front of the net. And down the ice it goes. Weimer drops back. Tocchet into forecheck. Weimer around the boards. Number 44 is Glenn Murray. Murray, the Bruins' number 1 draft pick in the entry draft of last June. It's taken to the boards by Shell Samuelson. There's Phil Bourque and Junot. The puck loose. Jim Pack reaches back of the net. Pack found a teammate who went off his stick right to Adam Oates, however. Oates trying to cut in, could not. Bruins throw up another good forechecking job and hold the puck at the line. No, the ruler came outside the line and is shot back in, catching several Bruins inside that zone and making the play offside. As the Bruins and the Penguins are tied 2-2. Just over 4 minutes to play in the second period. Yager is out on the ice, being covered by Donato. Don Sweeney, the left defenseman, drove it in off Barraso's blocking glove to Phil Bourque. Again, the Bruins have 3 men in forechecking. Now 2 as Poulin backs up a little bit. The puck comes to Glenn Wesley. Long shot to a screen, went wide. Yager can't get it around Don Sweeney. And here's Donato with a shot that misses. Poulin chases the rebound. Dave Poulin got knocked down, and the Penguins do get it out of the zone. Yager freed it up. Bill Bourque gets knocked off his skates, and back in for it is Jim Pack. Giving it to Shell Samuelson. Out to center. Herdina carries it across the line. Fed it to the open wing. Yager after it. Didn't get there in time. Don Sweeney to Poulin. Bruins out of the zone. 2-on-2 through center. Now Poulin picks up a loose puck. Trying to split the defense, and Phil Bourque reached in, took the puck away. Bourque to Herdina. Ardina moves it down the boards. Larry Murphy couldn't get to it. The Bruins set up inside their own zone. This is Jim Weimer. Cross ice pass. Long one as it was, and Duras turns, takes it off the boards, gave it to Reed. Dave Reed, a reclamation job. Toronto couldn't find a spot for him, and now Carpenter finds Reed. Puck played around the boards. Gord Roberts back for the Penguins. Roberts to Trache to Yager, and out of the zone it goes through the Boston defense. Icing waved off. The rule that Murphy either did touch it or could have. Andy Mould moves it up to the line for Dave Reed. Reed cuts to the right. Pass back the other direction, went off Carpenter's stick and is cleared by Stanton to Trache. Trache to McEachran across the line, got checked. Here's Bob Carpenter with it. He goes to the right wing. Bob Sweeney for Boston, trying to cut in. Sweeney is shot, blocked by Barrasso. Collision, the puck ends up on the boards, back of the net. Samuelson there with a couple of the Bruins. Bob Sweeney right up here as it came around to the near corner. Puck still in play, according to referee Van Helleman. Doing everything they can to freeze it to get a face-off. Now it pops loose, and Kjell Samuelson got it to the corner, but no further. And Trache to pick it up here. This is a tiring style of hockey, isn't it? Battle along the board, trying to get possession of the puck.
Boy, a lot different from the first period,
isn't it?
I think the jitters have disappeared. The goaltending definitely settled down, and defensively these teams have played a much stronger second period than they did in the first.
A minute and 38 seconds, all that's left in the second period.
Penguins, on the other hand, and I asked their assistant coaches, what would be the ideal layoff if you were asked for the ideal number of days to pick before a series started? They said 3, and that's how many they had off.
Well, we'll see how they respond. We're into the late stages of the second period. Rick Bowness was so anxious to watch the game between Chicago and Edmonton last night to see how Chicago responded. They'd had the similar number of days off after having eliminated Detroit in 4 straight.
Worked pretty good, didn't it?
Didn't it? 8-2 last night. Blackhawks winning game 1 from Edmonton, and they're right back on Sports Channel tomorrow night. Here is Jeannot with an opportunity. Turned aside. Big rebound. Jeannot drives up the slot to the backhand. Put it in the goal mouth, and Duras couldn't finish it off.
Jimmy Pack with an outstanding play. He got just a piece of it.
Now Wesley moves in from the point. It's centered across the front of the net, and Stevens reaches in. Knocked it away from Jeannot. It comes loose again. Joey Jeannot back to the point. Here's Wesley. His drive off Barrasso. He scores! Glenn Wesley powers one from the point. It's 3-2 Boston.
Well, Rick Bowness also said his team did not have an identity. He said they have one now. They are enthusiastic, they are young, they are quick, they are better offensively, and we see the brilliance of young Joey Jeannot, number 49 of the Bruins. Just a couple of just wonderful moves in the corner. He pulled Kevin Stevens down at one point, and I think Stevens made a mistake by lying down hoping for the penalty. Once it got back to Wesley, Wesley blistered a shot that Tom Barrasso couldn't control. He got a piece of it, but not enough. Up and over Barrasso and in, and Glenn Wesley has given the Boston Bruins a 3-2 lead, but the whole play was generated by number 49, the rookie, Joey Jeannot.
So Wesley back at the bench getting a rest with 44 seconds remaining in the second period. It is 3-2 Boston. Jeannot gets the only assist on that goal. Dave Poulin getting control of the puck, lost it to Larry Murphy. Reed forcing him back into the Pittsburgh zone, knocked him off balance. Roberts puts it back to the net. Barrasso turns it up the boards. Bob Sweeney went to that side of the ice. Bill Bourque comes back. The puck knocked away from him. Yager able to recover. Again, good forechecking, turned in by the Boston Bruins. Larry Murphy got the puck into the Boston zone. Don Sweeney got it out. Now Roberts clears it down the ice. Andy Mould to play it. Gave it to Don Sweeney. Weimer, he's cleared it out, and that's going to do it for the second period. Boston gets a goal late and a 3-2 lead here.
Nothing new for the Penguins, though. They've had to come from behind in series and in games, both against the Capitals and the Rangers. And the Penguins will have to do it here against the Bruins.
Another character builder in the third period. 3-2 Boston after 2. Let's check in with Bob Papa.
Thank you very much, Jiggs. We will have highlights from the second period. In our intermission, we'll also have a U.S. Olympic flair. We'll take a closer look at the Penguins' Sean McEachern. And after this timeout, Mike Emmerich talks with the Bruins' Ted Donato. All that and more after this on Sports Channel America.
of Dedham, Massachusetts, and Catholic Memorial High School and Harvard, Ted Donato, and we see his goal in the first period. Turn sportscaster and describe it here.
Well, Pete had the puck, and I was going to come over to help out, but he seemed to get away, and the guy was tying me up, so I figured if I could tie him up enough to let Pete get behind the net, then I would somehow get open. But very lucky on the hop, and I'm not sure that one made the back of the net.
Yeah, it actually did, and it carried him back out. You are again on a team that, like your USA Olympic team, is getting great goaltending at a special time.
Yeah, you know, Andy Moog is playing spectacular, but you know, that's a nice little bonus when you're playing to have a goaltender that's just making it awfully tough for the other team, and sometimes they get frustrated. And as the series goes on, I think you know, both teams will be frustrated at times, but with number 35 keeps playing like that, we're going to be in good shape.
Well, you had a great run in the Olympics, and you scored some important goals there. You've scored an number of important ones with the Boston Bruins, specifically a Game 4 overtime winner against Buffalo, and then this one in the contest tonight. I'm just wondering if there is any end to the excitement that you can see for this calendar year for yourself.
Well, it has been a long year. I think I started about 10 or 11 months